Okay, you guys ready? Alright, that's what we're gonna do. What do y'all want? Do y'all want me to fix the problem? Do y'all want to fix the problem?
I want to go over these worksheets.
The CPCDC stuff?
Some of it, some problems.
There's like,
Okay.
Yeah, I figured out that's better.
what did you say?
How about, this? You mean some of this you're like, oh, okay, the HL side? Okay, I don't understand. Okay. Alright, I'm going to choose the first one here. So I think that'll be a little bit easier. I'm going to borrow yours. Hey, guys in the back, y'all need to quiet down just a little bit, just so these folks can hear what I'm saying. That's all. Okay. Given GJ is perpendicular to GJ is perpendicular to HJ, and GH is S. Okay, so statements and reasons. Okay. I am not going to fill in the proofs just yet. I want us to look at this, and I'm going to teach you about how to do it. Okay. So, oh, sorry. This is given. What was prove? And can you read me the prove? Okay. Right. Here's the rule about hypotenuse. Hey guys, y'all still just a little loud. It's okay with me. If y'all want to go in the hallway, you can. That's fine. But anyway, okay. So here we go. Whenever you use siding with side, let's pick an easy one, right? You have to prove two sides are congruent, and then the angle in between the sides are congruent, right? And then as soon as you do that, you're done with your proof. Make sense? Okay. Before you ever use hypotenuse leg, I'll go ahead and give it away. We're going to use hypotenuse leg now. Before you can ever do hypotenuse leg, you have to do three things. Number one, you have to tell me that it's a right triangle. Period. So number one. What was number one? You have to prove it's a right triangle. You have to. Number two, you have to tell me that the hypotenuses are congruent. Okay? Over here, which one's going to be the hypotenuses of these triangles? GH and GK, right? Those are the hypotenuses, right? Okay. Number three. So number one, you have to prove that they're right triangles. Number two, you have to tell me that the hypotenuses are congruent. Number three, you have to tell me that the legs are congruent. One set of legs. As soon as you said check, 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 then you can say triangles are congruent by hypotenuse. Yes.
Are like the legs are like GJH and stuff?
Okay. Okay, let's look at triangle number one. Which one are the legs? What are options for legs in triangle number one? GJ or what? HJ.
Okay.
So you're just gonna have to pick one of those. Okay? And then you'll have to pick the other set. It's probably gonna be GJ in this problem. Okay?
I'm still confused on the order and stuff, and I did not want to get marked off in my face for like having the wrong order.
Okay. Order will clear up probably in this conversation right here. Order will make itself known. Okay. So let's see. Number one. So GJ is perpendicular to HK. Sorry, I gotta go slower. Okay, and then that also, we all know what that's gonna be, so I'll go ahead and write it. GH is congruent to GK, and all that is given. Okay, so number two, angle GKJ and blank, it says, are right angles. Number three, triangle GKJ and blank are right triangles. Number four is completely blank. And number five, triangle GHJ is congruent to triangle blank. all of these are blanks. Okay, are we at a total loss here? I guess all the folks who rank themselves as a 0 are at a total loss. Okay, and then if you ranked yourself probably below a 5, you're going to be like, what the crap is going on? Okay, all right. So let's just follow through. Okay, I'm going to use hypotenuse legs. So what 3 things have I got to do? Right triangle, good. Hypotenuses and the legs, good. All right, so let's start. Where? Good. So we already know the hypotenuses are congruent. Good. Okay. So what is that? GH congruent to GK? Right. Good. Sweet. All right. Now, why in the world am I going to have to go through this step right here? Say that they're right angles.
So they have to be right angles.
Yeah, because the triangle has to have a right angle in it first before it can ever be a right triangle. So you could even say you have to prove right angles before you can ever say right triangle. Okay, but that's a small step. Okay, so angle GJK, and MK, you're gonna want to be able to answer this one because you were messed up on the order, right? But if I say angle GJK, so I start up at the top at G, and I go down to the right angle, and then wait, I said GJK, right? On the other side, G down to J, and I swing out to that angle that's over here. What does K? What do you think K is going to be congruent to? The H. So if I go from G to the 90 to the K, what order am I going to have to go over here? G, J, H. It's just following that pattern. That's all it is. Okay. So if I say angle G, J, K, what are you going to have to say? Angle G what? J, H. Why? Why do they all of a sudden have to be right angles? No, the definition of right angles says they measure 90 degrees.
Right angle congruency theorem?
Right angle congruency theorem means that all right angles are congruent.
There's a definition of perpendicular.
Let's see. What's the definition of perpendicular? Watch this trick. Perpendicular means intersect perpendicular means two lines that intersect to form right angles. Are you ready? One of my previous teachers taught me this is how you learn definitions. Are you ready? What's the definition of perpendicular? Two lines that intersect to what? Form right angles. What's the definition of perpendicular? Two lines that intersect to form right angles. What's the definition of perpendicular? Two lines that intersect to form right angles. What's the definition of perpendicular? Two lines that intersect to form right angles. That make sense? So what's the definition of perpendicular? Two lines that intersect to form right angles. So how do I know that these are right angles?
It says.
Did we ever call them perpendicular? Yeah, so if, what is this? I totally drew it wrong. What does that symbol right there mean? Two lines that intersect to form right angles, right? So what does that symbol right there mean? Perpendicular, right? It means perpendicular. Here's the bad thing. Some people think that that means that it's a perpendicular bisector. It doesn't have to bisect anything. If you want to see a counterexample, it would be something like this. Can't I draw this line that's perpendicular to that? And those are completely not congruent. Does that make sense? So this has nothing to do with bisecting. What does it mean? Perpendicular. And what does perpendicular mean? Two lines that intersect to form right angles. So how do I know that GKJ and GJH are right angles? Definition of perpendicular, right? So did I call them right angles? Yes. So why do these things all of a sudden have to be right triangles? Well, let's look at what these things are, I guess. So triangle GKJ. Notice how this pattern follows that same exact pattern, right? So I don't have to rethink it anymore. I don't have to go over to the triangle and go, okay, GJK. No, it follows the same pattern, right? You've already struggled to figure out what the pattern is right here. So just copy the pattern. If I say GJK, what do I have to say over here? GJH. See how easy that was? Okay? So now, why do these all of a sudden have to be right triangles? What's a right triangle? A triangle with a what? Right angle. Does this triangle have a right angle? Yeah. So why does this have to be a right triangle? Definition of right triangle. That's it. Definition definition of right triangle. Okay, so let's look and see, let's always step back. If you're like, if you get in the middle of this thing and you're going, okay, what in the world's going on? Step back. What are you trying to do? Prove what?
That there's two triangles.
Triangles congruent. What's our path that we're going to choose on this one? Hypotenuse leg. That's our path, right? So what are the three things you have to do for a path of hypotenuse leg?
You have to have a right angle.
Right triangle, hypotenuses are congruent, legs are congruent, right? Have we proved that they are right triangles? Yes. What statement? What number? What number?
3.
Number 3. Good. So we did that. Check. Have we told me that the
Yes.
hypotenuses are
That
congruent?
was
Yes.
a
What
given.
number?
1.
Number 1. Good. So what's left? We have to prove that legs are congruent.
So
Have we
G.
done that yet?
No.
No. So which legs are you going to choose?
GJ.
GJ. So segment GJ is congruent to what?
GJ.
GJ. Why?
Third.
Reflexive properties. Good. You can say POC. I'm okay with that. Property of congruence. POC. I'm okay with that. Even on the quiz, I'm okay with that. Okay. So, some of you want to stop and figure out this order, and that's okay. I immediately call it triangle GHJ. You can do 3 things. You can either look at what?
The one.
You can either look at something before that you've already struggled with, right? You can do what? Look at the proof statement. If I'm doing my job, your job is much easier, right? Or you can actually go to the drawing and figure it out again. It doesn't matter to me. So if I say triangle GHJ, what do you say?
GKJ.
Who?
GKJ.
GJK?
GKJ.
Sorry, I can't hear. GKJ. Why? Hypotenuse leg. How's that? Are we good? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw a wrench in here to be sure that you understand. What happens if in this triangle, I didn't want to prove those triangles congruent anymore? I'm like, that's easy stuff. What if I actually wanted you to prove that segment HJ was congruent to segment KJ?
You would have to
Would it be something like, you know how there's like the third
CPTC.
angle theorem?
CPC.
Okay, third angles theorem helps you prove the third angles.
Well, yeah, but is
Yep.
there like on the lines?
No.
No, that's CPC.
Right, okay, so watch this. If I had asked you, Will, to do this, don't do the triangles anymore, just do the sides, okay? Isn't it true that you could walk through this whole proof, same proof with all the given, right? Now, do HJ and KJ line up? So if they line up, that means their parts are congruent. So if the triangles are congruent, guess what
When
you
the
know about
parts
their
are
parts?
congruent. They're congruent.
Their parts are congruent. So why would their parts have to be congruent?
CPC.
Good, because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Does that make sense? Better? Has anybody gone up a step from where you were? Did you come up from a 0? Yay! Anybody gone up? Did that help? It doesn't have to help.
It helps.
It helped. Did it help just to get that answer? Or did it help?
I just don't think I'll be able to do it by myself. If you just give it to us blank on a quiz, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna be like, yeah.
Give us one of these.
Give you one of these by yourself. Okay, good.
I can do it if someone else holds it.
Alright, let's practice. W X Y Z. Okay, given. Let's see. ZX is perpendicular to WY. Segment ZW is congruent to segment ZY. Do you want to prove triangles congruent, or do you want to go a step further? Step further. So prove that segment WX